You don't actually understand what you're learning, you just think you do. You highlight pages, binge YouTube tutorials, and nod along like it's sinking in, but when the test comes, or when you try to explain it, your mind goes blank. I lived in that fake learning trap for years. The Feynman Technique broke me out of it, and today I'll show you how to use it to learn faster and actually remember what matters. I used to think being smart meant knowing complicated things, but Richard Feynman proved the opposite. This guy won a Nobel Prize in 1965 for figuring out how the tiniest particles behave, and he made it understandable with simple diagrams. What set him apart wasn't just his genius, but his refusal to hide behind jargon. Feynman asked one question: "Can I explain this so my grandmother would get it?" This wasn't just teaching, it was how he learned. He wouldn't move on until he could explain an idea effortlessly, not from memory, but from true understanding. My friend, most people fake knowledge with big words. Feynman showed that real mastery means stripping away the noise until the truth feels obvious. The best teachers make the hardest ideas feel simple. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how to apply his method to master literally anything you want to learn in just 4 simple steps. But before we dive into that process, you need to understand why traditional learning methods are actually sabotaging your progress. Here's something nobody tells you. Most study techniques you learned in school are garbage. They're designed for one thing: cramming information long enough to pass a test, then forgetting it completely. You highlight, you reread, you make flashcards, and 2 weeks later, it's gone. It's because you're confusing familiarity with understanding. You read something 3 times, it starts feeling familiar, and your brain tricks you into thinking you've mastered it. But familiarity is fake mastery. Real understanding means you can take that knowledge and use it in completely on your new challenges. You can explain it to someone else without stumbling. You can see connections that weren't obvious before. You can apply it when it actually matters. That's what makes the Feynman technique so brutally effective. It strips away all the pretense. When you're forced to explain something out loud, there's nowhere to hide. No fancy jargon to mask confusion, no memorized definitions to fall back on. You either truly understand it, or you crash and burn in real time. Let me tell you what changed everything for me. This works for absolutely anything: marketing strategies, coding languages, financial concepts, negotiation tactics. The process stays the same. I've used it to understand cryptocurrency, business models, even complex philosophy. It never fails because it forces you to confront what you actually don't know. Most people never do this. They stay comfortable in fake understanding. There's something raw about the moment when you try to explain something you thought you knew and realize you're completely lost. We've all had that experience where our confidence crumbles mid-sentence. What's the concept or skill you've been avoiding explaining to others because deep down you know your understanding isn't as solid as you pretend? Share it below. Sometimes admitting what we don't really know is the first step toward actually learning it. The Feynman technique is 4 steps. That's it. No complicated systems, no fancy apps, no productivity theater, just 4 steps that will expose every gap in your understanding. Let me show you exactly how this works, using something most people think they understand, but actually don't: compound interest. Step 1, choose your concept and write it down. Get a piece of paper, not your phone, not a Google Doc, actual paper. Write compound interest at the top. You're probably thinking this is too simple to matter. That's your first mistake. There's something that happens when you physically write something down. Your brain gets the message: we're doing this for real. Most people skip this step because it feels unnecessary. They want to jump straight to the real learning, but that's exactly why they stay confused. Writing it down is your commitment. It's you telling your brain to stop multitasking and focus on one thing. I used to think compound interest was simple. Money makes money, obviously, but then someone asked me to explain how $1,000 becomes $76,000 at 7% over 40 years. I stumbled through some weak explanation about growth on growth and realized I had no clue about the actual mechanics. That moment taught me something crucial. The concepts I'm most confident about are usually where my biggest blind spots hide. Now I test my understanding by trying to explain things simply. True mastery reveals itself not in complex jargon, but in the ability to make difficult ideas accessible to others. The clear sign of genuine understanding is when you can teach it to someone who knows nothing about the subject. Step 2, explain it like you're teaching a friend. Here's where most people screw up. They try to sound smart instead of being understood. Your job? Explain this thing like you're texting your friend at midnight who just asked you a random question. Forget your fancy words and stop trying to impress anyone. If your friend has never heard of compound interest before, start from absolute zero. Don't skip steps because you think they're obvious. My friend, I learned this lesson trying to explain gravity to my nephew. Instead of saying, gravity is the curvature of space-time caused by mass energy, I had to get creative. Imagine you're rolling marbles on a stretched bed sheet. When you put a bowling ball in the middle, it creates a dip. Now when you roll marbles nearby, they curve toward the bowling ball. That's gravity. I walked him through it. Suddenly he got it, and so did I really. If you can't explain your concept to someone who knows nothing about it, you don't actually understand it yet. The test isn't whether you can use big words. The test is whether your friend says, "Oh, that actually makes sense," instead of nodding and pretending to get it. Real comprehension means stripping away all the impressive sounding complexity to reveal the simple truth underneath. When you truly grasp something, you can build it back up from first principles rather than just memorizing sophisticated sounding explanations. Step 3, identify your knowledge gaps. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. As you're explaining, you're going to hit walls where you realize you don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you can't explain gravity as actually works, or you're fuzzy on how it feels to walk without gravity. Your brain will want to panic or make excuses. Don't. These gaps aren't failures, they're your roadmap. Every wait, I actually don't know this moment, is showing you exactly what to learn next. Instead, go back to your source material, whether that's a book, course, or online resource, and fill in those gaps. Work through more examples, look up additional explanations, keep digging until you truly understand that piece of the puzzle, then come back to your explanation and try again. You'll often find that addressing one gap reveals another one you hadn't noticed before. That's normal and actually a sign that the technique is working. Every time you go through it, you uncover stuff you thought you knew but really didn't. That uncomfortable moment where you spot the gap, that's not failure. That's the point where your understanding actually starts to grow. Speaking of getting behind the scenes, I recently launched YouTube memberships, and it's a way for us to connect a bit more directly. Members get things like priority replies and can even pitch in ideas for future content. If that sounds fun, I'd be honored to have you on board. Just hit the links below. Step 4, simplify and use analogies. Now comes the brutal editing phase. Read through what you wrote and hunt down every word that makes you sound smart instead of being clear. If you catch yourself using terms like leverages exponential growth or optimal asset allocation, stop. You're showing off, not teaching. Here's the test. Would your explanation confuse your mom? If yes, rewrite it. Instead of gravity curves space-time, I now say, gravity is like standing on a tilted floor. You naturally slide toward the heavy stuff. I stopped trying to impress people with terms like geodesics and general relativity. My friend, the goal isn't to sound impressive. The goal is to make complex ideas so simple that someone could explain them back to you 5 minutes later. Every fancy word you remove makes your explanation stronger, not weaker. Clarity is the ultimate intellectual achievement. It takes more skill to distill complexity into simplicity than to dress up simple ideas in complicated language. When you prioritize understanding over impressing, you create knowledge that actually sticks and spreads. Now, I'm about to share with you the one modification to this technique that will absolutely supercharge your learning. But first, let me show you why this simple 4-step process is so incredibly effective at revealing what you actually understand versus what you think you understand. Before we dive back in, a quick thank you to today's sponsor for helping me keep creating videos like this. The sponsor is brilliant, and their whole mission is to help you become a better thinker and problem solver. They've got thousands of interactive lessons in math, science, programming, data analysis, and AI. But what sets Brilliant apart is that it doesn't just hand you answers, it pushes you to solve problems and actually think through solutions. This way, you're not just memorizing information. You're training your brain to be sharper, more flexible, and ready to tackle challenges in any area of life. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just someone curious about how things work, Brilliant gives you the tools to keep growing. You can start learning for free by visiting brilliant.org/mindflow or scan the QR code on screen. And don't forget, you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription for full unlimited access. Here's where most people stop too early. They think explaining something simply means using smaller words, but that's not how it works. Real understanding happens when you can handle the one question that separates kids from adults: why? Let me tell you, adults are too embarrassed to keep asking why. Kids aren't. They'll keep digging until they hit bedrock. Take compound interest. You tell a 5-year-old that money grows faster over time, and they'll ask, why doesn't the bank just give you the same amount every year? Now you're forced to explain that the bank pays you for letting them use your money. And when you leave that payment in the account, they pay you for using that money too. It's not magic, it's business, or marketing funnels. You say it's steps that turn strangers into customers. A kid asks, why can't you just ask them to buy right away? Suddenly you're explaining human psychology. that people need to trust you before they'll give you money, that trust takes time to build, that different people need different amounts of proof before they're ready. The 5-year-old's why questions forced you past the surface mechanics into the real principles. They made you explain human behavior, business logic, the actual forces at work. Most people think they understand something when they can describe what happens, but you don't really get it until you can explain why it happens. The 5-year-old test strips away all the fancy terminology and forces you to deal with the raw truth underneath. It's like the difference between knowing the recipe and understanding how cooking actually works. When a kid asks, "But why does that happen?" and you can't answer without using big words, that's your brain telling you there's still a piece missing. This technique isn't just for textbook concepts. I've used it for everything. Business models I was trying to understand, technical systems I needed to implement, even soft skills like negotiation. The principle stays the same. If you can't explain it simply, you don't really get it. Let me show you what I mean. For programming, stop memorizing code and start understanding why it works. Don't just learn that loops exist. Explain why programmers use them instead of copying the same line 50 times. When you can tell someone why functions make code cleaner and easier to fix, you've moved past memorization into actual understanding. For business strategy, anyone can repeat buzzwords about competitive advantages, but can you explain why Amazon's flywheel actually works? Can you break down why some advantages last decades while others crumble in months? If you can walk someone through the logic behind business moats using examples they understand, you've mastered the concept. For personal finance, most people know they should invest and diversify. Few can explain why. Try explaining to your friend why index funds usually beat picking individual stocks. If you can make them understand the math and psychology behind it without using terms like asset allocation or market efficiency, you've actually learned something useful. The pattern is always the same. Move from knowing what to understanding why. That's where real knowledge lives. Surface level facts are just the starting point for you. They tell you the rules, but not the game itself. Once you grasp the deeper logic behind something, you can predict what happens in situations you've never seen before. Here's what I didn't expect when I started doing this. It doesn't just help you understand individual concepts better, it makes you learn everything faster. When you constantly practice breaking things down, you start seeing patterns everywhere. You realize gravity isn't just about falling objects, it's why water flows downhill, why planets orbit stars, why your body feels heavy when you're tired. The same invisible force shapes everything from ocean tides to how galaxies spin. This is what separates people who actually excel from those who just collect random facts. When you understand the underlying patterns, you can spot them in new situations and apply what you already know. Instead of starting from scratch every time, you're building on a foundation of principles that connect everything together. Most people learn in silos. They study marketing here, finance there, psychology somewhere else, never connecting the dots. But human behavior drives all of them. When you start seeing the common threads, everything clicks into place faster. The person who understands why people make decisions has a massive advantage over someone who just memorized separate techniques for each field. Let me save you from the mistakes people do when applying this technique. Mistake number 1, running from the uncomfortable stuff. When you hit a gap in your knowledge, your brain will want to slap a quick explanation on it and move on. Don't. Those gaps are gold mines. Sit with not knowing. That's where real learning lives. Mistake number 2, hiding behind fancy words. Jargon makes you feel smart, but it's a crutch. If you can't explain compound interest without saying exponential growth or compounding periods, you don't actually understand it yet. Kill the big words. Mistake number 3, staying abstract. Theory without examples is just mental masturbation. If you can't give me a real-world example of how something works, you're still surface level. Always work through concrete situations. Mistake number 4, only doing this in your head. The technique works on paper, but it's explosive when you explain things to actual humans. Their confused faces and random questions will expose gaps you never knew existed. Your friend asking, "But why would anyone want that?" might be the question that finally makes everything click. The discomfort you feel when someone doesn't understand your explanation isn't failure, it's feedback. That awkward moment when they look confused is actually giving you valuable information about where your thinking breaks down. Most people avoid this feeling by sticking to audiences who already know the subject, but that's exactly when you stop learning. Here's how to actually use this instead of just nodding along and forgetting about it tomorrow. Pick one thing you're struggling with right now, not 5 things. 1, most people try to fix everything at once and end up fixing nothing. Block out real time for this, at least 30 minutes. You can't speedrun understanding. If you're trying to do this between TikTok videos, you're wasting your time. Find someone who'll listen to you explain it, your roommate, your mom, whoever. Bonus points if they know nothing about the topic. They'll ask the questions that expose your blind spots. Make this your default move whenever you encounter something new. Don't just read about marketing funnels or compound interest or whatever. Immediately try to explain it back to someone else. Write down what you figured out. Not because journaling is magical, but because you'll be shocked at how much clearer your thinking becomes when you see your progress on paper. My friend, do this consistently, and you don't just get better at learning, you get better at thinking. When you spend time breaking down complex ideas into simple explanations, that clarity bleeds into everything else. Your decision-making gets sharper because you can cut through the noise and see what actually matters. Your communication improves because you can explain your ideas without drowning people in jargon. In conversations, this means people actually get your point instead of just waiting for their turn to talk. In teaching, this means students walk away changed instead of just memorized. In arguments, this means you can address the real disagreement instead of talking past each other. When you can explain something simply, you stop fooling yourself about what you actually know. You stop hiding behind complexity and start creating real understanding. That's when ideas actually stick and spread instead of just sounding smart in the moment. Here's something I want to tell you. Most people are information hoarders, not learners. They collect facts like trading cards, but can't actually use them when it matters. This technique works because it forces you to stop pretending you understand something when you don't. When you can't explain compound interest to your friend without using fancy words, you've just discovered you don't actually get it yet. That moment of uncomfortable realization is where real learning begins. But knowing this won't change anything, you have to actually do it. Pick something you're struggling with right now, grab paper, start explaining it like you're teaching a curious kid. Feel stupid when you realize how many gaps you have. Fill those gaps. Repeat. The goal isn't to become the smartest person in the room. The goal is to stop fooling yourself about what you actually understand versus what you just memorized. In a world full of people who mistake information for wisdom, real understanding is your competitive advantage. If you found this video helpful, this next video right here will take you even further. Your choice, your life. Start now.